got your little headband. Very, very
Aw,
nice.
I didn't
Yeah.
know we were doing headbands.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're queen of headbands.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still time. There's still time, dear.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Yeah. See? It's like, what kind of
just hanging.
headbands do we get? Welcome everybody in the chat. Let's bring in some more people. I see people kind of coming in the back here. Nicole. How are you, Nicole?
And my nerd sisters. Oh my gosh, I love this. I'm loving this.
Excellent. Who's in the chat? We got Tina, we got Dragon Buddy.
Somebody named Poop Face.
DJ's in the house. Poop Face McGillicuddy.
I love that.
Joining us. Mr. McGillicuddy. Used and Abused podcast. Thank you for joining us. And R2 the Icky.
Hey, R2.
What's up, everybody? So let's see the headband. It's dark.
Little witch hat.
Dark.
Can't see it. Yeah. Here, let's
Oh,
try
I
this.
didn't know we were
There
supposed
you
to do
go.
special.
There.
Well,
There's so good ears.
those are nice. Those
There
are
we go.
nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming by, everybody.
I know, but now I feel naked because you got a hat and a soak of ears, and I'm like,
Yeah.
nobody warned me. I'm like,
Well, I don't have any ears except for these. But
you
that's
got cans
okay.
on.
How is everybody?
Doing okay. Can't
And
complain.
Kit Kat. Oh, I got my candy right here. Oh, my stash is right there.
I got my red
Nicole
wine.
knows.
Coffee.
Oh yeah, I know what's up.
Mm.
So, thank you, friends, for joining us on this very special Red5Network
Thank you for hosting.
Hangout stream. It's we've been talking about doing this type of thing for a while, and I know we did one a long time ago in a galaxy not so far away. But I appreciate the people were asking me when we can do another one of these, and I think it's time. So here we are. Thank you so much. Nicole, I wanted to ask you because you really you were very interested in doing one of these, and I think we all were. But the fact that we get together from time to time, and we enjoy our coffee in the morning, us Red Fivers.
Yes, we do.
We love interacting with everyone that listens to a lot of our content, and we really appreciate that. I think having done a stream like this when it comes to mental health, and I know a lot of people like to take breaks. They come back, for more shenanigans, but when it comes down to it, life sometimes throws us curveballs, and I know a lot of us go through that. But we just wanted to kind of do a little hangout, a little mental health hangout here at the Red5Network. And I did want to get some questions from the chat, but I wanted to talk to you guys about, what it is that you guys do personally to kind of refresh, recharge. Like I said, a lot of things happen in life. We all go through it, but let's get down to business. I know we have some phone numbers. I didn't get the memo, so I apologize. But let's go around the table and see see what we have to offer to talk about. Shanti, I know you and we talk a lot because you're my co-host, and I love you so much for that. But what are some of your favorite ways to recharge?
Eating chocolate. No.
It's true. It's true.
Valid.
First of all, I want to know, I'm really happy that you used the word curveball, and do you know what a curveball is? But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So how I cope is very dependent, I guess. Nice. How I cope is actually very dependent on just how bad I feel. So, for instance, for maybe someone like Kelly who absolutely adores music, and so do I, you would think that music would be a good coping mechanism. And sometimes my brain is so full that if I'm really, really down, like forget it, not even music can help me. So usually when that happens, I whip out the Sega and I will play video games. And like that actually kind of puts me in a zone. Or I have specific movies, I have specific shows that I know that I've seen 1,000 times, and I will just throw up there. And if you start seeing me like knee deep playing games on my phone, you know I'm like gone. So anything that I do when I'm feeling really down, it's got to be like super super mindless, like really mindless. So
Yeah.
I'll put like Parks and Rec on. Parks and Rec has been like a big deal for me. It's like a town that I wish I lived in. Everyone's so quirky. So that's been a big help. And then I have like really specific I Love Lucy episodes that I'll throw on if I want to just have a nice laugh. So yeah, that's how I cope. Or writing.
Sure.
Writing is usually a big thing for me too.
Yeah, and obviously, because we are all on social media and Twitter, and we do our thing in front of a microphone and camera, we get to talk to our friends about the stuff that we love, movies and music, through this thing we call, podcasting and, creating content. But I think that is definitely, for me at least, it definitely kind of works as therapy, to unwind, to kind of recharge. Somebody earlier in the day posted, what do you do to get back on the creative streak if you are kind of in a rut? And I did answer in that way that I either, hang out with friends, talk to friends or family, go watch a movie, go listen to some new music. All of that stuff helps. Kelly, with your wonderful Ahsoka ears, what are some of your ways that you like to recharge?
Like Shanti said, I need music. I thrive on music. It'll change according to my mood. If I'm angry, it's usually a good rock, rock hardcore channel station. If I need to chill, it's always 80s music. But whatever the music it's playing, if I'm depressed, I like to go to my plants. I have house plants all over the house, and I'll wash leaves or I'll fertilize, I'll repot, because if I can't do something with myself, at least I can take care of something else, and taking care of another living thing makes me feel good. It's actually what I've relied upon getting through empty nesting when my daughter went to college and then moved away to Michigan. So, just taking care of things. That's a really big thing of mine.
Sure. As we get older and go through different stages in adulthood, those curveballs change.
Yeah.
You mentioned empty nesters. When we become parents, the worry is different than when our kids go to college. And I'm going through that right now. My son is in a senior in high school, and next year is going to be bye-bye. And I'm like a nervous wreck. So there are certain things that change throughout your life. I don't think we escape the worrisome, the worry that goes through our minds. It just changes.
It just changes.
Different changes. And I think we really do have to find ways to cope with that. And some of the stuff is like really heavy. I know, depression comes into play a lot of times. Some of it is kind of more, street level worry. But, there are times when, our lives get really, really stressful. Death in the family, people ill, money problems. It's pretty serious. Nicole, you have a number up on your screen. Tell us a little bit about that, and then how you cope.
Okay, so the number on my screen is actually for Now I want to know what's so funny because now I'm talking with my friends and watching something
Just
funny.
reading the chat.
I'm reading the chat, and
Yeah, the chat always seems to have like a show of their own. It's kind of
Pooh
funny.
Face just said something that is so hysterical to me.
Well, I'll get to coping in a minute. That includes laughter. Somebody knows.
Somebody knows. Yeah. It's Pablo Poopy Face Hidalgo. It's hilarious. I have a feeling that's Josh.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's Charlie's Angels again.
Yeah. See? But I'm sorry. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
Nicole. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Laughter is good. Laughter is good. It's medicine. Okay.
It's true.
It's true.
It's so true.
I think we all know that here. So I'm like, wait, just stop and tell me what it is now, because I didn't want to be on the out. So I'm like, well, let's all laugh. Okay, so the number I actually have on right now is actually for the domestic violence hotline. October is Domestic Violence Month. But it's not just Domestic Violence Month, it's also breast cancer breast cancer awareness month, infant loss month. If you've lost an infant or miscarried. It's also Down syndrome. There's so many things that are in the month of October. So I reached out to Ro. I'm like, I'm at a vigil right now. And I'm like, can we have a mental health like pod again? This is me, and I felt like it was so important to continue the conversation. And it was more than just the vigil that I was at. I looked at my friend, actually everyone who's met him, Brandon, was with me. And I said, I think this needs to be on the Red 5 platform. I feel like it needs to be out there in the world. It's very important. Just like the other phone numbers that you guys also have up here are so important to have. And then I had a scary moment when I realized the stats. I was going through some stats, and even those who dealt with breast cancer there's a high number also for DV there, or those who have had infant loss, there is also something there. And Down syndrome, it's like going, this is so sad and it's heartbreaking. And as a DV survivor and thriver, it doesn't get easy, and so it's so important. We talk about coping, and my biggest thing is that I am in counseling, and that you've got to get help. It's okay to do that, to reach out to your local domestic violence shelter, even if you've been away from it for a year or two, because that stuff doesn't go away.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's okay. So, but beyond coping skills, let's go there, because that was fun. So laughter. Okay.
Laughter.
Let me tell you something. Talk to your nerd sisters. Okay.
Yes.
Or your bros, because they will be there. If I'm serious, you don't have to always sit in alone. I think every week my counselor's always like, well, how about your self-care? Because she knows that I'm really bad about it. And she knows that my number one thing is when she knows for me, it's okay. There's potting. There's the other thing is, of course, my counseling sessions. And so a lot of times I have to be very purposeful to do stuff, like reading or taking a bath. I love my pets. I love my cats. I know we all have animals. Yep, you see this. Every person here loves animals here. If you don't have a pet or are unable to have a pet, I highly recommend volunteering at a place, because like Kelly said, it is always good to give. And when you're giving of your heart and you're taking care of something else, it's a good thing. However, as a person who's also a caregiver, don't overdo yourself. You have on yourself.
Very true.
A sanctuary or being with puppy dogs will make you happy. I promise. Just go. So I love spending time with my cats and my daughter's dog when I get to have her up here. Lately, I've also been enjoying the beach, which is really nice. So just doing stuff that I love is really nice to recharge. Love listening to music. I just love it. Just turn it on. Put on my favorite beginning to end album, hit start. I'm like Lilo on the floor. Just let me some music and drain out the world.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I want to make a special. I know you had said bro, about a person had asked, well, how do you recharge when you lost your art or whatever? That I'm misquoting it, but I I know like
creativity and your drive.
I know for me, it's really interesting because I have been in the past year, it's been really hard to write. And I don't know why. I hit a roadblock, a wall. And I know, like for me though, my counselor notices that I all of a sudden put all that energy right into podcasting. She's like, yeah, but you talk about potting a lot now. And I'm like, well, okay. So don't when you get to those points, maybe your creativity your creativity is flowing somewhere else. And always it's important to acknowledge, I think a lot of people, even I myself, I forget. It's important that I acknowledge what I'm feeling and then move on. Because acknowledge what the heck you're going through, or I feel sad, I feel upset, I feel frustrated. Acknowledging feelings is so important, and then moving on. Because it won't help anybody else if you don't know, So
You're 100% correct, because I did that for far too long, trying to ignore and say, no, just keep pressing on. You know what? Sometimes it's best to just give into those feelings. Just Kelly has said this before, and I agree with her 100%. Just don't stay there for very long.
Yes.
It's okay to don't live there. It's okay to have a good cry. Let it out. It's okay if you don't want to do absolutely anything, but just maybe lie in bed and watch TV. But don't do that for like a month straight and wallow in pity for a month, because then you'll never get out of it, and you just dig the hole deeper. I've been there, and it sucks.
Same.
Don't do it.
Yeah. I didn't want to. I changed my my name tag there. I didn't want to feel left out. So
maybe like posing or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Used and abused. I'm going to put this up because this is really important too. Hardest thing for me is to open up about what I'm going through or dealing with. I know it makes my spouse mad when I clam up and don't even tell her what's going on in my head. And I think that is, besides that being kind of a male
It is. I was just saying. It is. No, it is. It is.
I think, being in this community, and I'm going to specifically say Red 5, we always see the Red 5 family hashtag, and we are Red 5. And I know, it's a marketing cliche, yes, but I have discovered through the several years that we've been together that it's more than just a hashtag. And I think we have counted on each other for that support. We have counted on each other for just getting, getting ourselves to like open up. And if it's, we're spread across the country, so it's not like, we can go over to Kelly's house and have some tea.
I know.
Tea?
I know.
I tell her every day.
Eat her dinners?
Yeah. I tell her every day. Every day.
For everybody.
Kelly's cooking and Nicole's baking, I would never be depressed.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and it's Snickers cheesecake up there. So
right.
Snickers cheesecake. I've seen pictures.
But Tina's got her comment too. I think it's more of a male thing that we we're fixers. We don't want to burden other people with our issues. We can fix it ourselves, and that's just the way it is. I think it's ingrained in us.
I think society has a lot to do with that too, which is a really horrible thing, because we're all emotional. We're all human. We just, between the two genders, we just have different emotions and how we react to things. So for me, like I told Scott in the chat room, for me, it was always just, it's a sign of weakness to talk about this stuff. Am I weaker because of it? Everyone else seems to have it so together, and I don't. So I might as well just slap on the smile and pretend I'm okay when really I'm dying inside.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we were raised too. I mean,
no, I was told.
I was raised where, Kelly, suck it up. You have things to do.
I'm
there's
still
things
told
to have
not to talk
done.
about it. Yeah. I'm still told not to talk about it. If my parents knew right now that I was doing this, they'd be like, why are you on camera talking about this? But how else are you going to fight that stigma? I'm not, and I don't. How often do I really go public about this? Not very often.
Yeah. And somebody also mentioned the fact that a lot of you guys, I'll say you guys because I'm not an introvert per se. I think I see a
No,
lot of,
you are not.
I'm an introvert.
we see a lot of
I'm
introvert,
totally
um,
introvert.
I'm
and
totally introverted.
that doesn't, that doesn't help either. I think, Shanti, you were talking about how when you were here the first time at ScarifCon, you were, cowering in a corner and you were
I found her.
afraid.
I was a
And,
mess. I
Yeah.
was shaking. I was so nervous last year. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But I think that doesn't help either. I
No, it
think,
doesn't.
the notion of finding your people, and I've
Mhm.
heard Melanie say that, our friend Melanie, finding your people is really important. And I'm glad that I have played a small role in putting together a group of superhuman mutant superstars under the Red 5 network, that it makes me happy. And it makes me happy that we have been attracting, so many wonderful friends just to watch our stuff. And I think it's great.
Mhm.
Now I want to know. I'm like,
No, okay. So I don't know. R2 was saying that he experiences sleep paralysis 2 or 3 times a year. I don't know why that came up, but I have suffered from it, and it's
Oh, yeah.
it's the scariest, freakiest shit I've ever experienced.
I can imagine. I mean,
It's
I
pretty
can't imagine,
scary.
but I can. Yeah.
It's odd. It happened to me just not that long ago. I fell asleep on the couch, and I thought somebody was like coming at me, and you can't freaking move. It's horrifying. I'm with you, R2. I got you. Don't worry.
yeah, that is definitely tough.
Mhm.
Zoinks.
But it's
Yeah.
true. I mean, we were talking again, like you said. I mean, versus last year to this year, and then this year I walked into ScarifCon like I,
Like
own the
you own the
joint.
place.
Yeah, no, it's because it takes me a bit. It does take me a while, and that has to do a lot with my introvertedness. I like to observe. I like to put my feelers out, and try and figure out who can I really connect to, who can I really trust before I just kind of divulge everything. How do I really feel comfortable and that I can just let go in front of this person and they're not going to judge me? And I definitely have felt that way around all of you guys. So I can be as stupid as I want, and it's totally fine.
Like, I just think
I
back
feel
to
that
last
too.
year. I mean, in 21, and that moment of seeing you in the comic book store, and are you Shanti? Just that moment, even behind the mask, I was just like, yeah, yes, I will always love that moment. It will always be, just because I just had this feeling. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've only known her, but I'm like, I love her already. You know what I mean?
We'll always have the birdcage.
It will always be bittersweet now, but yes.
I know.
Okay, I'll tell you later. I got something later. I'll show you later, but I got something.
Okay.
Made me go.
Earlier we were in the chat privately talking earlier this morning about identity and how that also plays a role. We I mentioned that we're changing. We're from adolescence to to adulthood. We're always changing. Our moods are changing. Our personalities are changing. Our experiences are changing, and we're almost. It seems like we're fighting to catch up with how to deal with those changes, how to deal with those feelings, and even just identity. Like, who am I? Sometimes the way we react to certain experiences surprises us, and then we start to ask our questions, who am I, what makes me tick? And I think that plays a large role also in wearing us down. I think it seems like we're always struggling. There's I see a lot of stuff on Twitter too regarding I'm having a bad day, nothing works, woe is me. Not to make light of it, but it's interesting to me. Again, not being an introvert, I'm out there all the time, and I'm comfortable enough with it. But I did mention to you guys earlier as well that I also as a younger person, like preteen, I'm Mexican, but I didn't grow up like traditionally Mexican. I had a lot of Anglo friends
Mhm.
that I didn't really relate to in some way, or maybe I related to them a little more so than because I'm trying to think. I didn't really know any Mexican friends. I think my first friend that happened to be Mexican, I was a sophomore in high school.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm like, oh wow, there's more of us. So
Well,
That's so cute.
it's interesting to me because again, you know, I didn't grow up. I don't know. I feel like I didn't grow up as insecure as a
Mhm.
lot of people that I see even in adulthood. Which, you know, I mean, obviously I'm lucky, knock on
Very
wood.
lucky.
But I just find all that interesting regarding identity and stuff like that. And I know we all go through it to some degree. I'm not saying that I was totally immune to it, but
Mhm.
what do you guys think of that?
I'll go first.
Go ahead,
um,
'cause I'm gonna
not
rant
only
about
did I
that one.
go through it as a teenager, you know, being a nerd, getting bullied for being a nerd, getting made fun of for being a nerd, trying not to be a nerd, you know, still getting those good grades, but you act like a ditz in public. Now we're putting on faces
Right.
until you start finding your own kind. And then it's okay. You have a little safety net where you can be yourself, but you go out in public and you're somebody else. And then I had children. And now it's time to teach them be yourself, be who you are. And that helped me find who I was by being their mom. And then for 25 years, I was a mom, you know, like I was a mom for these past 25 years. And then my kid moved away. My other kid is 18. They will be going to college soon. And I lost myself just a few years ago. I did not know who I was anymore. I've been a mom, been a mom, been a mom. And now I'm not going to football games and I'm not having sleepover parties and I'm not making theme meals for Doctor Who's 50th birthday party anymore. Like, I didn't know what to do. You can ask DB. I was in bed a lot. I watched TV. I watched Hallmark movies for the first time in my life and cried every damn movie. And I'm like, I hate these movies, but they make me cry just because I need something. And then I found a podcast.
Yay.
And then I found another podcast. And then I found another podcast. And then the one podcast was in Red 5.
Yes.
And then they said, listen to this and this podcast. And I started listening to Red 5 podcasts and started being active in the chat, which was a little hard at first because, you know, you guys were so cool to me. And I was like so intimidated. And then the pod that I was working with got into Red 5. And I'm like, oh, I'm Red 5. And I was really intimidated. But then I found my niche, you know, like doing OCD stuff, you know, my little OCD things that I do for me actually started helping everybody by, you know, doing the schedules. And I loved it. And it excited me and it made me feel like I had something again. And this is me now. It's
Right.
It's kind of like everything that I was as a teenager, except I love that person that I was as a teenager. It's kind of like my midlife crisis is bringing me back to everything I loved in the 80s and 90s.
Mhm.
And it's okay because you guys are like that too, you know, like it's like that video, No Rain by Blind Melon. This one little sad little bumblebee is trying to find her own kind. She's getting made fun of and everybody's looking at her weird. And then finally she finds the field with all the other weird bumblebees. And you know, that's the way I feel with you guys.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I'm still on that journey right now, but I'm feeling a lot better than I was a few years ago.
That's good. That's good. We also talked about how either subconsciously or not, we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot. We sabotage our own success. We sabotage our own happiness by setting the stage to, I don't want to say fail per se, but we do sometimes. I don't know if it's like in the back of our mind, we're like, you know what? It's better that I prepare myself for the failure or the being unhappiness. So if I am unhappy, it's like, I expected it. And I think that is also kind of something that hurts a lot of us because, you talked about your OCD and how you thought that was a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And it is a huge advantage, obviously, for the reasons that you mentioned. I think we have to start thinking of our talents, our worth in a new way, rather than saying to ourselves and really celebrating who we are, whatever characteristic we have. I think it's a shame that people look down on themselves to a certain degree because, like Shanti says, if you stay there for any length of time, then you're going to start to believe your own lies.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. You won't come back. And that's why, I definitely, like I just said earlier, I used to see it as a weakness and ask myself, what's wrong with me? Why was I made this way? And it becomes this thing of you start blaming everybody around you. You curse the universe. You become angry and bitter, and you don't want to deal with anybody anymore. And it's so easy to just become a hermit. So my suggestion to anybody who's watching this that suffers as well, it's going to sound corny, but you do need to try and find the silver lining. So I suffer from OCD, I suffer from anxiety, and I suffer from depression. Okay, fine. But you know what? Instead of looking at those things as a hindrance, which they can be, I'm not saying that they can't be, because they are, it sucks. But instead, it's all about channeling it. And how are you going to channel that? Now I look at my anxiety as like, well, you know what? My anxiety helps me to look at every situation from every single angle.
Yeah.
So, and I like that, so my mind constantly feels like a chess game. If I do this and what happens, if I do that, then what happens? And that's great because you know what? It's actually helped me to make decisions. So there's the silver lining there. The OCD thing, okay, fine, whatever, that sucks too. But again, it's helped me to channel things. Mapping out, having my own stream now, it helps me to map things out, outline. I use it at work. My workstation is organized to a T, and it helps me. So stepping back for a second, taking a breather and saying, how can I channel this so that it doesn't feel like a hindrance, and that, so you can just get that out of your head. Because it's true, we get in our own heads, and I think that's human nature. I mean, listen to a lot of how celebrities talk, they can get 1,001 compliments, but then they get that one negative review, and that's it. They harp on it. They believe it. That's the one that they believe, but they can't believe the praise. It's the same thing. We expect bad things to happen. When things are running too smoothly, we're like, when's it going to fail? When's it going to fail? Because we're just waiting for it. So it's just the way it is. It's human nature.
Yeah. Josh has just arrived.
Josh. Oh, and really quick, I can relate to you, but on the opposite spectrum. I live in Miami, and obviously in a predominantly Cuban area. And I went to school where literally there was every single student was pretty much, Hispanic or Latin background. And I wasn't raised that way. I didn't watch Spanish language television. My parents did not speak Spanish in the household. My grandparents all spoke English. So it just wasn't something that was embedded in me. And to be poked fun of by your own peers that, you know, they're supposed to be your friends and I'm being made fun of, and you're the getting out of the group, and you're not being literally told to my face, you're not really Cuban because you don't speak Spanish, you don't do this, you don't check off this box, do you even like Cuban food? And I'm thinking to myself,
what is Cuban food?
What the fuck criteria is this?
Yeah.
Born of two parents who were born in Cuba. What does that have anything to do with anything? I'm still proud of my culture and who I am, but it gave me an identity crisis. And combine that with, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Man, that's a deadly combination. When you have both an identity crisis and what's my purpose, recipe for disaster.
And it doesn't help that those things are being compounded and fortified by outside influences. You know, people telling you that you're not Cuban enough, you're not Hispanic enough. It plays tricks on your mind.
Made me feel terrible, absolutely horrible.
So. I'm sorry.
Stop bullying because it sucks.
Yeah.
I've been on the receiving end. Knock it off.
It really does.
And it's even worse now. Like, honestly, like, as much as I hated going through it, I'm glad I went through it in the time period that I did, because kids have just gotten that much more ruthless being behind a computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bullying has gotten so much worse, even amongst adults.
Here's the thing, though. I want to say this, you know, it again, coming back to identity and being sure of who you are. Again, you know, obviously you can't control people on the other side of that keyboard. You can only control yourself and how you act or react to whatever comments they are. And Kelly, you always, you know, give me that you always ask me that question, why are you so worried about internet trolls?
Yeah, like, are you ever going to meet these people in real life? Like,
not that I'm worried.
He likes to get into the psyche. That's what it is.
For the most part, yes, but it's you know, even stuff like that kind of it affects me in a certain way, but not in the oh, this guy is bullying me way. It's just like, I just find it fascinating that people like that exist.
It's the psychology behind it that Ro wants to know, like, why are you this way? I totally understand that. No, I get that.
Polluting your aura, Ro.
Yeah, but again, it's not, you know, we have to go through these chapters. I guess we have to, like, wear, you know, Teflon and make sure that we are secure in who we are, standing our ground. You know, politely and creatively in a way that is true to yourself. You know, I think that is when a lot of people get brainwashed, because they want to be in with the cool kids, or they are seeking either confirmation, approval from somebody else. And that is a dangerous combination when you don't know who you are and you are searching for approval from somebody who may or may not be your friend. That's a bad combo right there.
Fact. Yeah. It's so true.
I'm going to ask everybody in the chat, did you like my Kelly impersonation?
There were no moons in there, bro. Come on. You need more.
I know, I did.
Need more moons.
You need more moons.
Absolutely.
But it's true. I mean, when I posted the picture on Twitter and changed my profile last year to the picture of me in the Catwoman suit,
I remember that.
Immediately I had these two trolls, and like I've said, I've noticed a pattern, and they have very tiny followers, like 5 followers. They started calling me like, oh, I didn't know that they made like a fat, like, Catwoman costume. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, please. Like,
yeah, I remember.
I don't know, some 2 jackasses.
Oh,
I
they're
blocked them.
Exactly. That's what they are. I'm like, nobody makes fun of our nerd sister. I don't think so.
But again, I didn't take offense to it. I knew there were trolls. And at the end of the day, you know what? I felt confident. I felt good in that costume. I thought I looked fantastic. I didn't care what they said. You're jealous. And all I kept thinking is, if these are really guys behind the keyboard, because you never know. I was like, you wish you could get with this. And then I blocked him and said, and that was it. That was done. I didn't cry about it. I didn't care.
Sure. This is why we love Tina.
Yeah, we love our nurse. We love her.
Well, Shanti, just what was it, like 2 weeks ago?
I almost sent that guy to hell.
Don and I were
did I
doing
miss?
the podcast for
Oh.
Stranger Things, and you were in the chat when there was that idiot that kept saying that I need to eat more fruit. You know, Lunar Girl is fat, and
Yeah, I mean,
I
really
laughed at
laying
him.
into, and
Yeah.
I held my tongue because I didn't know if this person
Mhm.
was friends with either Kelly
Nope.
or I was ready to send this person to fucking hell. I mean, even
I
GB was like, all right, hey,
No,
be
I'm like,
nice.
what?
Ooh, I was on
Yeah.
fire.
That was when we did our live show for the
Yeah.
season 1 finale,
I
and
text Kelly, I was like, do you know that person?
I'm like, nope. But seriously, the only thing I can picture,
They needed a wrench.
Yes.
Come on.
I
Exactly.
was the bigger person, literally, but figuratively too.
Kelly.
But
I would have been like,
Sure.
wrench, gone. You don't hurt my name.
all I could picture is some 17-year-old where I could probably be their mother,
17
or
13.
I could even be their
Right.
grandmother at this point, just like sitting there with this acne covered face, just, you know, on the keyboard. And it's like,
Pecking.
yeah,
Kelly?
I'm going to let that get to me.
No.
No.
Well, I can tell you right now, I was ready to go on tonight's stream. Like, I was waiting for that person to come back
Yeah,
tonight.
you were.
So I was just like,
Shanti's
Nope,
ready to
they never
for Chris
showed
to
up
come.
again.
the
Because
Leo
I
and
laughed
me.
at
Like,
him.
no, I was like, you don't mess with my friends. Oh no.
But the thing is, if I would have
You're
gone
my
off
friends,
on
you
this
with
kid,
me.
if I would have went
Absolutely,
off on this
Josh.
kid and defended myself and showed him like, oh, you're really bothering me, you're such an
Right.
asshole,
Yeah.
he'd
Yeah.
probably be in my chat every single week. And we
Right.
wouldn't
True.
done. I laughed at
Yeah.
him. I said, you're fat. And show over.
And it's true. It's true. The more you give into that kind of stuff, the more that they're going to want to push that button.
Yeah.
Because now they know, okay, now I've got them.
Yeah. Thoughtless children.
I hope nobody minded them eating my Kit Kat.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I'm disassembling it.
We only have issue that you're not sharing.
I'm sorry.
You eat the layers too. I eat the layers too.
Oh, you eat it like that?
Yes.
I started eating like that, but now I take chunks, like cross section,
Mhm.
and then I melt them, and then in my mouth I slide the graham crackers like
That's
this.
what I do.
Totally.
That's totally what I
Makes it
do.
last longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, Ro, because I know you're going back to a little bit about identity and things like that. I would like to say this though, is important. Well, it's important to get up and get moving, yes, but it's also important to make sure that you're also helping to take care of not only yourself, but also maybe the situation at hand, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You know, I think
absolutely.
for many years at the beginning, when I finally got out of things, or when things kind of happened, and for a long time I was sad, I was depressed, I was, a stay-at-home mom trying to figure things out. But every day I still got up and took care of my child. Every day that was my thing, child. Take care of my baby. And but at the same time, like I remember going to some like counseling, but no counseling really helped at the beginning. And it took a while to finally, like, I was at a vigil is what happened, and it was for a domestic violence shelter, and I was just like, wait, you guys got counseling, and this is all you did with? Because that was my other problem, is that I was finding is that I was running into counselors that were, kept putting me in with other things, and I was like, no, and I was not ready to be in a group setting yet, so I kept going. And then once I found work, I was working and taking care of my child, not ever really dealing with the heart of the issue, and that's important. Is to love your mental health and go take care of it. Because if not, it'll just sit there. It will just sit there, and you will still be an identity. mode. I mean, shoot, I'm still relearning who the heck I am half the time. But it's important to deal with it. Like even lately, like in the past year, since I left my grandma, and it wasn't until like recently, I'm like, to my counselor, I'm dealing with grief. I can't believe why is it happening now? And she's just like, because that's how grief works. We never know when it's going to pop up, know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
She knew though, and this was the difference, is that I was actually dealing with it and saying it. I wasn't just like, keep going, just keep going, just keep, and I think a lot for a long while, even that's what I was doing. Just keep going, just keep moving. I stayed in survivor mode for so long. And trust me, and I can feel the click. I can feel when I'm in survivor mode and when I'm not. And then not dealing with it at the beginning was just not, which is so important, because here's another thing, especially for Davey, is that you don't want to go back into the patterns. Or if you did not know the red flags, it's so important that you learn the red flags. And I'm all these years later, and now I'm just finally like, okay, now I know what red flags are. Oh, I know what that is. And no, not every marriage that looks like a Hallmark Christmas card is really a Hallmark Christmas card, just so everybody knows. Yeah. But again, yeah, it's important. And whether it's grief or whether it's depression or anxiety or DV or if you're going through a real serious illness, it's so important. Again, I mean, that's why I'm like, I go to counseling because I know it's good for me. And yeah, so deal with it. Part of me so that's important to deal with it.
Do you have a question?
I have an answer to that question.
Yeah. So Josh says, ask, how do you overcome the anxiety of being open about your mental health when struggling? Because I know the openness of that sort of thing, especially on social media, well, especially in real life, I think sometimes is a taboo. But what was your answer, Kelly?
Number one thing, talk to your primary care physician. It's just one person, okay? They will tell you, I think you need to talk to a therapist. Here are some numbers for you. Or this is a chemical imbalance that your body is reacting to. Here's a medication, or let's talk about some treatments that we can do together. It is so important to talk to your family, your primary care physician first. If you don't have one, it's time to get one. We're all middle-aged now, and you can't always run to CVS. If that's all you have, run to CVS and go to the Minute Clinic, because it's that important. Do not put your mental health on hold, because your body will react to that stress. I had, when I was 35, massive panic attacks, and I did not know what they were. I thought I was having a heart attack. I ended up at the doctor. She was gearing up to put like heart monitors on me and everything, like immediately. And she's like watching me, and she's like, are you feeling what you're feeling right now? I'm like, yes. And she's like, honey, that's a panic attack. And I'm like, I have no time for panic attacks. I do this, and this. Right. It's like, you are 35, and this is what happens when you don't take time for yourself. And I'm like, oh. Yeah. There is no shame in talking to your doctor. This is what they're here for. Only they will be able to tell you if you need therapy, if you need to find a counselor. They will help you find these things. If it's something chemical inside your body, they will know. They will be able to tell you this. They will be able to find a prescription that works for you. Don't put it off, because you keep putting it off. You can be one day closer to feeling better just by making an appointment and talking to somebody. And if there is nobody to talk to, Shanti and I have these numbers to text on our little windows here. If you cannot talk to your family, if you can't talk to your friends, if you can't talk to your doctor, if you can't talk to your boss, you have nobody to talk to, text them. Tell them how you're feeling. Tell them it could be you're in a serious depression. God forbid, if you're suicidal, you need to text this number tonight, okay? Because there are trained professionals on the other end of these lines. You can call 988, you can text 988. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is that you reach out and you get help as soon as possible, because you can be feeling better.
Yeah.
You know, there are people to help you, to guide you, to answer your questions. They can give you coping strategies. You know, the world is out there.
And I'll take it a step further. I mean, we live in a day and age of technology, and I know, look, I've been in and out of therapy since I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, one of the biggest things, of course, is perception. So there was always the fear of we were going to run into somebody that we knew, dropping me off at a therapist. And oh my God, what if they find out you're seeing a psychologist? So I've been in and out of therapy for a very long time. So now at my age, I don't give a shit about going to therapy. I have no shame in it because I'm used to it already. But if that is one of your things, if you don't even want to call this and you want to have regular therapy sessions, telehealth. If you have insurance, if you're lucky enough in this country to have insurance, telehealth, pick up the phone, download one of those apps, enter in your insurance information. You can literally find a psychiatrist, a psychologist, literally within minutes, and you can talk to someone. You can go into your bedroom nice and private. You don't have to leave your house. No one has to know.
Nobody
if that
has to
is
know.
your thing. And another thing, no one has to know. It's your business. No one has to know. My other
That's
thing.
why there's HIPAA laws. That's why there's
Medication.
HIPAA laws. It's between you and your doctor.
I will never, ever, ever deter anybody from taking meds. I myself, I don't care. I'm not ashamed of it. I myself, I'm on medication.
I've been on medication since the day that I was at that doctor.
It is not
having a freak
a
out.
magical pill. So my personal opinion, if you are on medication, you should still be going to therapy as well. You still need that person to talk to, that person. And I got to tell you, I find it to be very easy to speak to someone that I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I actually like therapy. They don't really know me. It's a little awkward, yes, in the beginning, but you're not worried about them judging you. They don't really, they don't know you on that level. And I know friends are supposed to be honest with you and they'll tell you you're being a dipshit or not. But then sometimes, not you guys, but sometimes friends can actually have the opposite effect. They might feed into it and just, keep you going down that path. So it's better to seek that professional help. That's what they went to school for. That's what they got the degree in. They know how to deal with this. And that's another thing. You are not the only person suffering. There's a reason why psychologists still exist, because you're not the only one.
Yes.
So they're trained. They know how to deal with this. So get help. There's no shame in it.
So real fast, somebody in the chat mentioned that we're talking about suggestions and giving people ideas and stuff like that. Obviously, we're not medical professionals, so please take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But they mentioned the fact that sometimes friends and families is not an option. We talk to each other. We have coffee in the morning. We say good morning, hello, and
coffee now.
Yeah, not everyone has that though.
We're not family by blood, but we're family by network, and that's pretty awesome. But sometimes when you don't have that, what do you do? Sometimes people feel so alone. You'll try to reach out to friends and they'll slap your hand away and say, I don't want to hear this shit. Where we've had people, I've had people tell me the same thing, and I had no idea that they were going through whatever they're going through until you see it on social media and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
What do you like? How do you tell people? How do you explain to your friends? I mean, I know none of us here, I don't think, are that type of person, because I know you guys, and if somebody reaches out, I think we will reach out and meet them halfway. But it's interesting to me that friends and family per se, like real family, I guess, just don't care about that stuff because they, I got my own problems. I can't deal with yours too.
Or they don't want to face the facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't give out their name or anything like that, but I had a friend where they kind of went through that and it resulted in divorce, and the parents just didn't want to see that, didn't want to come to terms and admit that their daughter needed help and that she suffers mentally, and it drove a wedge. And then it wasn't until now, until things got too bad, that they were finally like, oh, okay, you know what? She is kind of far gone. We do need to get her help. Like there is something wrong. So again, it becomes this thing of pride, honestly, and
Sure.
ego. And you just don't want to admit to it. That's why I do wish there were like support groups. Like I understand we're putting up these phone numbers, but at the end of the day, we're human and we crave that human connection. I mean, when I tell you, I fell into a deep depression coming home from ScarifCon this year. I fell into a deep depression. Like you don't realize just how much you really do need people until you're around them. And that's why I wish there was something kind of like an Alcoholics Anonymous, but for people who have depression, where you can kind of just gather and relate to each other, and it's free. There's I mean, I wish there was something like that. Maybe there is and I'm unaware of it, but there does need to be support groups
Yeah.
of some kind, because it's true, not everyone has family, not everyone has friends, and even if you do, they may not want to hear it, they may not want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so it is a problem.
So
Go for it, Nicole.
No, it's okay. I have a two-part. So I'm gonna start back with Josh because I think there was something that I read into his thing, and that is that one, it's not easy for us to always to come on here and talk about it. It is actually hard. I am very walled. If you have to be within my wall for me to talk about it. And yes, I'm talking about it here, but I'm only talking about it to some degree. It took over 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. And only really into the last few years have I really become talkative about it, and not talkative, but only within certain groups. I don't talk about it a lot with my own family, and that is nothing against my family. Special note, okay, because it is hard. And what I have found is I have a very special auntie who I can talk to, and because she's been there, she's lived through what I've been through. And we once, I'm going to go back a few years, we were actually at sadly at a sad event, a funeral, and a family member had asked about why we hadn't come forward. Why don't we talk about it? And it was interesting because she stood up, she came around and she sat next to me, put her arm around me, and she talked. I didn't even talk. And I remember her because it's not that as easy as you think it is. And so it took many, I still don't, my family knows, okay, DV happened, but I don't giving them details. And it's hard. It's just because it's hard. Not time is it because of my family. It's because I can't talk to my family. So it takes a lot of time, Josh. I thought I would mention that this is not easy. And trust me, I'm here fiddling with there are reasons why I have no fingernails. I get nervous and, I play with my nails. I know,
I have no cuticles.
Not easy. Even as an extrovert, it's very hard for me. And then on to the next thing with family. This is so, again, I just talked about my one incident in my life where my auntie really did. She's always, she's my go-to. I absolutely love her to death. And that was interesting because I feel like I was able to connect with her because, again, she's been through what I've been through. So make sure you also give your family grace. If you're I can't talk with you, just let them know, hey, I love you. Thank you for your support. Sometimes you need somebody who has empathy, not sympathy.
Right. That is so true.
Absolutely.
But I also want to point out, and this is really hard, hits hard on me and in my own family, and that is, it's twofold. Okay. It is so important that if you're spouting off, I have no family, I have no friends, it's a two-way street. because you also have to be willing to also talk to them and be willing to connect. I mean, if they're connecting with you and you're not doing it, it's a two-way street.
Right.
And it's so with this, and it's so hard. I'm also very private. Like when it comes to my stuff, I keep it off my social media. Okay, I keep most of my Twitter stuff. Like I'll talk about it here, but like I don't really mention all my stuff on my Twitter. You know, and anything that's on my personal, I know who's on my personal. Like I don't want to see it anywhere else because it's personal. And that's so very important to me, and I think that's something I've been dealing with. So you know, when you have to really also sometimes step back and go, okay, who can I talk to? Do you have family or friends? Because maybe they're there and they're just in the waiting. And I know that's hard because some people go, but I have, like, again, I guess because right now I've been going through that where somebody says, but I don't have friends, and I'm going, I don't know. I see a lot of family and friends that are just here in the waiting, and we're like, you know, you put it up on social media. I have family that does not even have social media. So when you're putting it up on social media, you don't have family or friends. It's like you have family and friends that are not even on social media. Some people really do not use social media.
Right.
So it's so important to kind of gauge where that is. But if you don't, again, listen. I mean, Kelly said, you know, these numbers are up here. You can call them. You know, reach out to somebody. You know, if you are a believer or even a non-believer, maybe go to your local church. Talk to somebody.
Sure.
Some of those places have support groups that like Celebrate Recovery that is out there to talk to people that maybe that's not necessarily Christian, but that can help, you know, and get you something.
Yeah.
At least until you, again, going back to what I said earlier, is until you start dealing with it, you can work all day long, but you're going to be right in the same place as you were before. And it's just, then everything. It's not easy. It's not easy.
And if you were dealing with it in high school, like I was, because like I said, I've been dealing with this since I was a young age. I mean, I was lucky enough that I had a wonderful teacher that he ended up being my mentor. He's kind of like the one that I went to if I was really about to like go off the deep end, and he was always able to kind of talk me off the ledge and, you know, this is what you need to do. You need to tell your parents or go to the guidance counselor. So, you know, I don't want this to be like only adults suffer, because, you know, I think sometimes a lot of people say, oh, well, they're teenagers. It's tough growing up and all these emotions and hormones. And yeah, that's true. But I knew that what I was going through was a little bit more than just the normal teen angst. You know what I mean? Especially to have already started going through it at such a young age. I mean, to tell you the truth, I had probably been suffering probably before the age of 12, and I just didn't know what it was, because you're so young, and maybe your parents didn't recognize it, didn't want to recognize it. Who knows? I'm not going to dwell on that anymore. It's just, you move forward. And you're right, Nicole. I am not a religious person, but I agree. Go to your priest, go to your deacon, go to your pastor, go to your rabbi, whoever you think you can speak to, go find a person.
Right. Because
there's always someone who's willing to listen.
But just make sure they're not a cult leader.
I'm not a cult leader, and I'm always willing to listen. My DM is always open. I've said it before, and I mean that.
Yeah, I mean, again, one of our biggest issues is that we always feel alone because nobody wants to talk about it because of the stigma behind it. But no, you're not alone. I mean, look at us all here. We're all talking about it. We all are definitely normal. I hate that word, but
normal?
You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. No. That's the stigma. We're not, you know what I mean? Like, we're not crazy in the sense that people think of it. Like, just because I suffer from depression doesn't mean I'm like completely insane. Like, I can't stand that.
I suffer from depression and anxiety. I am on medication. I can laugh. I can cry. I can giggle. I have feelings.
You like doing all the same things that regular people like to do.
I'm not stoned.
Okay.
I function completely normal, and I don't know what I would do without it. I'd probably still be having panic attacks, which slowly eat away at your heart. So,
And I know this is going to sound super
does kill.
cliche. I know it's going to sound super cliche, but exercise does help. I have started walking again. I actually walked today. I try and do it 3 times a week now. I actually walked today before this stream, and as you can tell, I am very like
bubbly
peppy.
and energy.
Yeah, because it really does. It really helps. Not only that, but I've made friends with that cat who I saw today, and I got to see the pet. So that made me very happy because I don't have any pet, and I love that cat, and it follows me as I walk. So, you know, it's true. Get out
Natural
there, walk,
serotonin, Shanti.
Yep.
Natural
Yep.
soak it in. People's
Yeah.
houses are decorated right now for Halloween, so it's made me really happy. So yeah, take a walk, enjoy nature, enjoy your surroundings.
To quote one of Bravo's favorite sayings, go outside and touch some grass.
Baby. Touch it.
Touch it, baby. That's what she said.
I've got a whole room full of plants in my pod room, in my nerd girl cave. A whole bunch of plants.
Yeah.
I want to add, because I know you're probably going to close up the show soon. Super important. No matter if you feel great today, if you feel depressed today, it doesn't matter. Take 15 to 30 minutes for yourself every single day. Put down your phone. Close the door if you have to. In the shower, blast your music. You need time by yourself, because if not, you are going to burn out, and burnout is real.
Burnout is totally true.
And for the ladies,
Yeah,
I like to do my own nails. Believe it or not, that ends up being very therapeutic. I love doing my own nails. I'll sit there with the oil and the cuticle and pusher, and I sit there and I do it all. Just, you know, find something that's going to help you decompress.
Anything.
Anything.
Right? Read, meditate, burn a candle, sit on the deck and just
have a seance.
Things. Go for a drive. Have a seance.
Call the corners.
Wait, no seance.
Talk to a demon.
No cult. No cults.
No seance.
Sorry.
No seance, Shanti. Wink.
Yeah. But absolutely, I know the chat has been wonderful in offering support to each other, and it warms my heart. It warms the cockles of my heart. You can't go around the world with cold cockles.
We're 12.
Exactly.
You're all excited because they know they
know what? We know how to have fun, so have a laugh, man.
Have a laugh.
That.
I love my hose.
We love our daddy.
I've got hose. Different area codes.
Absolutely. Just a little taste of all the crazy stuff that happens with all of us here at the Red 5 Network. But it really is reach out, ask for help, recharge in any way you can. I know we mentioned a lot of things, whether it's spiritual, religion, drawing, music, watching your favorite movie, your favorite I Love Lucy episode, whatever it is. Yeah. I think it all helps, but obviously there is a lot more complicated situations that go on in our minds, and we are not here to diagnose or cure any of those issues that you might be going through. But we are here to listen and to help if need be. I know, we slated this as a Red 5 chat, but I think anybody that listens to any of our content that doesn't have a show on their own, I'm sure that I speak for the entire network. Just reach out to us. We love talking. We love to see what's on your mind, and if you need help, we'll do our best.
Absolutely.
We are here. social media can be poison too. So
Yeah.
I know it's
Yeah.
hard to break away. It's become a big part of our lives, but if you need to step away from it, step away from it. Like
Do it.
really, honestly. And if we're one of the people that you're closest to, I don't have a problem with it. Switch phone numbers with us, get off of social media, and we can always text each other, FaceTime. I know technology, everything has its good and bad, but I am happy for technology for things like this, that we
Sure.
can FaceTime.
Yes.
We'll set up a StreamYard link and
Mhm.
have a little one-on-one so we can see each other if you don't have FaceTime, but we're here for you.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I agree. Well, ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you,
I wish a
that's
lot
why we did
more.
this.
I know it's a busy night. I wish more people joined us, but we loved the discussion. Thank you guys in the chat, everybody in the chat that came by and stopped by and joined us. Wonderful contributions, and I know I always say that the chat seems like it's a show all of itself.
Yes.
And
Oh,
they're
totally.
absolutely.
100%.
Let's go around the table and find out where people can find everybody. Shanti, what's going on with you?
Okay, well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Selena Kyle 29, and then also, as I'm sure most of you know, there's also Scarif After Dark. You can also reach me through there at Scarif After Dark on Twitter and Instagram, and we are also on TikTok now. So
Tick tock, tick tock.
TikTok. So reach
Reach out,
out.
reach out, reach out. That's the Scuttlebutt After Dark. Nicole,
Mhm.
Miss Rogue One Radio, and you do all sorts of wonderful things. What's going on with you?
Well, of course, as Ro just said, I am part of Rogue One Radio. I am 1/3. So, of course, you can follow us on Tuesday nights and also on the Twitter handle as well. But my actual Twitter handle, as well as Instagram and Twitter, TikTok. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder, Santi. I have TikTok too. Is Peace Love Fandoms, because I love fandoms and not just Star Wars. So you can find me there at Peace Love Fandoms. Yeah, come hang, send me a DM if you need anything, and yeah,
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. And our dead mother, Kelly.
Den mother, cat wrangler,
Cruise director.
cruise director, and we are Red 5.
Very nice. Love it.
I run the social media for the Sidebar Cantina on Twitter and Instagram. Feel free to DM me, and my DM is always open. I'm also doing a podcast now on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern with Don Della Snooch called Stranger Things Has Happened. And you can find us at that Twitter as well. But Don monitors that too with me. So if you want to get me exclusively, Twitter, Instagram for the Sidebar Cantina.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. And I am yours truly, Ro, from the Scare of Scuttlebutt podcast, 1/3 of that show with Shanti and my good friend Brad, who is out to sea. He texted me earlier, or he emailed me earlier, and he's watching Return of the Jedi on TNT.
Nice. His
So,
favorite.
his favorite, absolutely. Stay safe,
Love you,
Brad.
Brad.
But yeah,
Watch
if
out for
you
all the
guys-
Steven.
oh my God.
I love it.
If this was the Scare of Scuttlebutt, I'd say that's the Scuttlebutt and sign off. But that's hilarious. Hilarious. If you're finding this stream on the Red 5 Network, please make sure to check out the pinned tweet on the Twitter account. We have over 40 shows of all sorts of voices in our network: Star Wars, Star Trek, comic books, Lord of the Rings, fantasy, Dungeons and Dragons, all the nerd stuff that nerds are talking about. So check it out. Hit one of us up. Listen to our show, watch our YouTubes, and have some fun. Excellent. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us on this very special mental health stream on the Red 5 Network. Nicole, Shanti, and Kelly. Big love, big hearts, and may the force be with you. Talk to you everybody later. The chat was so wonderful. Love you guys.
Bye.
Love
Thanks,
all of
everybody.
you.